بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Iqra, a show designed to help you improve your recitation of the Holy Quran step by step. Those of you who are regular viewers of this show, I hope you've been practicing the rules of heavy ra that we've looked at so far in your daily recitation of the Holy Quran. And just to motivate you further to continue practicing, let's look at a beautiful hadith of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Our first holy Imam, Imam Ali alayhi salam, says, "The houses in which the Holy Quran is recited and Allah the Noble and Grand is remembered will receive numerous divine blessings. The angels will be present and the shayateen will be distanced from there." And then he carries on to say, وَيُضِيعُ لِأَهْلِ السَّمَاءِ كَمَا تُضِيعُ الْكَوَاكِبَ لِأَهْلِ الْأَرْضِ. And their houses will shimmer to the inhabitants of the heavens the way the stars shimmer for the inhabitants of the earth. SubhanAllah, what an incredibly beautiful and powerful hadith. So inshallah we pray that Allah illuminates our hearts and our homes with the love and recitation of this Holy Quran. So now let's look back and quickly recap the rules that we covered last time. So we have been looking at this incredibly interesting letter, Ra. Ra, as we've mentioned, can be either pronounced with a full mouth, heavily, and this is called Ra Tafkhim. It can also be pronounced with an empty mouth, lightly, and this is called Ra Tarqiq. So when we pronounce the Ra with a full mouth, we have to make sure that our tongue is curved, the tip of the tongue is raised towards the roof of the mouth, and the space within the mouth is filled with the sound of Ra. Ra Tafkhim. When Ra is pronounced lightly with an empty mouth, the tongue is flat, and the tip of the tongue moves towards the gums behind the front incisors. So the tip of the tongue moves towards the gums behind the front teeth. This is the light Ra, Ra Tarqiq. So we've now looked at 3 rules of heavy Ra. There are 6 occasions or 6 rules for heavy Ra. We have looked at the first 3. Let's quickly review those 3 rules. I'd also suggest that you take a pen and notepad and have a book for your Tajweed rules, and then as we move along, write the rules down so that when the show is over, you can look back and learn the rules based on the notes that you've written so that you can ensure that you will remember the rules, inshallah. So, the first rule of Ra. When Ra carries Fatha or Dhamma, the Ra will be heavy. So whenever we have Ra with Fatha or Dhamma, the Ra will be heavy. Rab, Rasul, Rahman, Rahim, Ara'ayta, Raki'un, Rum, Rumman, Raiba, and so on. These words have a heavy Ra, Ra Tafkhim, because they carry either Fatha or Dhamma. So that's rule number 1. Moving on to rule number 2. When we have Ra with Sukoon, preceded by a letter carrying Fatha or Dhamma, the Ra will be heavy. So, when we have Ra with Sukoon and the letter before it either has Fatha or Dhamma, the Ra will be Tafkhim, Ra will be heavy. So for example, we have Furqan, Quran, Maryam, Yarham, Faradan, Marhaban, and so many other words. So those words have a heavy Ra because Ra has Sukoon preceded by a letter carrying Fatha or Dhamma. Rule number 2. Let's move on now to rule number 3. So when Ra has Sukoon and the letter before it also has Sukoon and the letter preceding that has Fatha or Dhamma, the Ra will be heavy. Remember, the consistent thing about Sukoon when it comes to the rules of Ra is that when Ra has Sukoon, we look to the letter before it. If that letter also has sukoon, you then look to the letter before that. And if that letter has either fatha or dhamma, then the ra will be heavy. For example, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. The ra was heavy because the qaf that preceded the dal with sukoon had fatha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal asr. Innal insana lafi khusr. Again, both asr and khusr had a heavy ra because the sukoon preceding the ra sakin was preceded then by a fatha or a dhamma. So these are the first three rules of ra tafkhim, heavy ra. Today, let's look at a few more rules. So I hope you're making your notes along with me. So it'll be good for you to look at them once the show is over and memorize the rules, inshallah. So rule number 4. When we have ra with sukoon and it is preceded by a long vowel of fatha or a long vowel of dhamma, then the ra will be heavy. So when you have ra sakin preceded by the long vowel of fatha or the long vowel of dhamma, then the ra will be heavy. Let's look at an example. For example, if you have ra with sukoon preceded by a letter carrying the long vowel of fatha, for example, nar. Long vowel of fatha, here I will pronounce the ra with a full mouth. Now, listen to the pronunciation of this word, now. Notice that although the ra is pronounced heavily, the ra is heavy, the noon was one of the light letters that we've talked about previously, a letter of istifal. So, we have to make sure that we maneuver our mouths very quickly so that I'm stretching the mouth for the noon with an empty mouth and then quickly rounding my mouth and filling it with the sound of ra. So now, I should be careful that I don't make the noon also heavy and pronounce this word as nar. This would be incorrect because noon is a letter of istifal. Noon is a light letter and the ra is a heavy letter. So now. Other examples include infitar, nahar, and others. So when ra has sukoon but it's preceded by a long vowel of fatha, the ra will be heavy. So when we have ra with sukoon and it's preceded by the long vowel of dhamma, for example, nur, again the ra is heavy. Nur is heavy because the ra sakin is preceded by the long vowel of dhamma. Other examples in the Holy Quran following this formula also include ghafur, shakur, tur, and other words. So that's rule number 4. Let's now move on to rule number 5. If I have ra with sukoon, when we have ra with sukoon and it is preceded by a hamzatul wasl, a connective alif or connective hamza, then the ra will be heavy. So when we have ra preceded by a hamzatul wasl. Now, a hamzatul wasl or connective hamza, connective alif is not a normal alif. Basically, we have some words in the Arabic language that begin with the sukoon. Words that begin with the sukoon cannot be pronounced on their own. They have to be pronounced by connecting the sukoon with a letter before it. So, when we have words with sukoon, they often beginning with sukoon, then we have a connective alif or hamzatul wasl before it to enable us to pronounce that word. Let's look at an ayah of the Holy Quran that makes this clearer. So now let's look at Surah Al-Fajr, verses 27 and 28 to understand this rule better. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutma'innah. ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية. So, here we have this word here, which begins actually with a sukoon. The ra with sukoon begins the word. The reason why I have this alif is because it is a connective alif. It enables us to pronounce the ra and this word correctly. So this alif is not a normal alif. It is hamzatul wasl or connective alif. In the Uthmani Quran and most Qurans, we have this little sign at the top to indicate hamzatul wasl. In some of the Qurans that come from India and Pakistan, there will be no sign at all, and it will just be an alif without a haraka, without a vowel at all. Now, if I was pronouncing these ayat without stopping, at the end of ayah 27, I would recite the ayat as follows. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ya ayyatuha an-nafsul mutma'inna turji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyah. So the ta marbuta would connect with the ra, because the ra with sukoon, the word cannot begin with a sukoon. It has to connect with the letter preceding it. However, if I stop at the end of ayah 27, Ya ayyatuha an-nafsul mutma'inna, then this alif is no longer silent. I begin the ayah irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyah. So, that is why this alif is not a normal alif. It is a connective alif. If I need to begin the ayah with a word that begins with sukoon, I need the connective alif in order to pronounce that word. So therefore I say irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyah. Now the relevance of this ayah for the rule of ra that we are discussing now is as follows. So we said that when we have ra with sukoon preceded by a connective alif, then the ra will always be heavy. Now, when I pronounce this ayah on its own, I say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyah. Here, I'm giving the vowel of kasra to the ra, but because I know that this is a connective alif, I still make the ra heavy, even though it is not. I would think that ra with sukoon preceded by a kasra would not follow the rules of heavy ra. So it doesn't matter whether I stop at the end of ayah 27 and then begin ayah 28 with irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyah, or I pronounce these ayat together. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ya ayyatuha an-nafsul mutma'inna turji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyah. In both cases, because the ra with sukoon was preceded by a hamzatul wasl, the ra will always be heavy. So that's a little bit of a tricky rule, but inshallah, I hope you understood it and are able to then apply it when you see the hamzatul wasl before ra sakin in the Holy Quran. So that was rule number 5. I think that you must be saturated with rules of ra now. So we will stop with the rules of ra and practice the rules that we have covered so far. So let's look at a few surahs of the Holy Quran, listen to the recitation and try and apply these 5 rules of heavy ra that we've looked at. So let's begin with Surah Al-Alaq. Let's listen to Surah Al-Alaq verses 1 to 10, paying attention to the heavy ra's.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى أن رآه استغنى إن إلى ربك الرجعى أرأيت الذي ينهى عبدا إذا صلى.
Good. Let's listen to the surah once more, again try and follow along and apply the rules, enunciating the heavy ra as you hear the Qari recite it.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى أن رآه استغنى إن إلى ربك الرجعى أرأيت الذي ينهى عبدا إذا صلى.
Well done. Let's now end with Surah Al-Muddathir and listen to ayat 18 to 31, which we listened to last time. This time, though, we want to apply all the 5 rules that we've looked at.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنه فكر وقدر فقتل كيف قدر ثم قتل كيف قدر ثم نظر ثم عبس وبسر ثم أدبر واستكبر فقال إن هذا إلا سحر يؤثر إن هذا إلا قول البشر سأصليه سقر وما أدراك ما سقر لا تبقي ولا تذر لواحة للبشر عليها 19 وما جعلنا أصحاب النار إلا ملائكة وما جعلنا عدتهم إلا فتنة للذين كفروا ليستيقن الذين أوتوا الكتاب ويزداد الذين آمنوا إيمانا ولا يرتاب الذين أوتوا الكتاب والمؤمنون وليقول الذين في قلوبهم مرض والكافرون ماذا أراد الله بهذا مثلا كذلك يضل الله من يشاء ويهدي من يشاء وما يعلم جنود ربك إلا هو وما هي إلا ذكرى للبشر.
Remember, this is just an introduction. We've just dipped our toes in the water and the journey is long. It is now for you to turn to the Quran yourself and as much as possible listen to excellent recitation of the Holy Quran. The more we are able to attune our ears to the pronunciation of the heavy ra, the more we are able to apply it correctly ourselves. And practice, of course. Lots of surahs in the Holy Quran that we can turn to practice the rules of heavy ra. For example, Surah Al-Alaq, Surah Al-Qari'ah, Surah Al-Mursalat, Surah Al-Muddathir, which we also recited, many surahs. Start with the shorter ones, and then once you're more confident and you're more comfortable in applying these rules, then turn to surahs like Surah Al-Mursalat and Surah Al-Muddathir. Both these surahs are chock full of the heavy ra. They're jam-packed with heavy ra, so it is a bit more challenging, a bit more tricky. Insha'Allah, the more we practice and the more we turn to the Holy Quran and recite it more frequently, practicing these rules, insha'Allah, the heavy ra will then come naturally and we will find that the heavy ra is just rolling off our tongues in the right places with the blessings and mercy of this month to help us through as well. For now, let us end with a short dua. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma rzuqna bi kulli harfin min al-Qur'ani halawa wa bi kulli kalimatin karama wa bi kulli ayatin sa'ada wa bi kulli suratin salama wa bi kulli juz'in jaza' بفضلك وجودك وكرمك يا أرحم الراحمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. O Allah, grant us grace through every letter of the Holy Quran, honor through every word, happiness through every ayah, security and peace through every surah, reward through every juz, by your grace, generosity and kindness, O the most merciful of the merciful. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.